Hi, Deacon Ed McCormick here on this beautiful day in December, and this is my final installment in my series on Advent and asking the question, what is Advent? And I've been telling you in the last couple of videos how the Advent readings move from a posture of watchfulness and waiting and preparing the way to starting to shift towards a focus on Jesus. And this Sunday, that becomes very clear because in this Sunday's gospel, we read about the angel Gabriel appearing to Mary in Nazareth and announcing to her that she is favored by God, that God's Spirit is going to come upon her, that she is going to have a son who will be the Son of God, whose kingdom will be forever. And so I want to talk about this scene with this question: what is Mary doing in Advent? That's the question I want to focus on. Now, if you remember, a couple of videos ago, I talked about John the Baptist and how John the Baptist was the prophet who believed that all the prophetic promises made by God through the prophet Isaiah and Ezekiel and others were about to come true. John the Baptist thought that it was 11:58 and God was about to act. It was still night out. It was still dark and the horrors and darkness of the world were still abounding, but that God was about to act to fulfill God's promises and all of those prophetic hopes we've talked about. Well, here comes Mary. And Mary, in a sense, stands on the other side of John the Baptist because she thinks it's dawn. She believes that those prophetic promises that John the Baptist thought were about to come true have, in fact, begun to come true. God has begun to act. And so for Mary, it is dawn. It's the dawning of the new world that God is beginning to create. And God has chosen to do that through her. And so while John is expecting those prophetic promises to be fulfilled soon, Mary has come to the conclusion through the message of Gabriel and through the insight of the Holy Spirit that those prophetic promises are in fact beginning to come true, beginning to happen now through her child. Now, there are two passages in this Sunday's gospel reading from Luke that confirm this, and I've already hinted at them. The first is this. Gabriel says to Mary when she says, "Listen, I haven't been with my husband yet. How am I going to have a child?" And Gabriel says, "The Spirit of the Most High will come upon you and overshadow you." The Spirit of God will come upon you. And this reference to the Holy Spirit coming upon Mary and overshadowing her as the source of her birth, this hints at the promise made by Ezekiel the prophet that when God acts, God would pour God's Spirit out and God would give us new hearts and renew all things. It hints at the prophet Joel, where Joel says God will pour God's Spirit out in the end times. So that promise that one day God will renew all things by pouring God's Spirit out has begun to happen to Mary. The other thing that's going on here, though, is if you listen with your biblical ears, is that this hints at the book of Genesis chapter 1, where as God begins to create all things, the Spirit of the Lord hovers over the deep. And so the biblical scholar Raymond Brown suggests that by claiming that the Spirit comes upon Mary, that Luke is suggesting this is the beginning of the new creation, the recreation of all things through Jesus. Now, the second passage that confirms that with Mary and the birth of Jesus, God's new world is dawning, is when Gabriel speaks about Mary's son who is to be born soon, where Gabriel says that he will be the Son of the Most High God, and he will be king forever. His kingdom will reign forever. And this, of course, fulfills the passage from 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 14, where the prophet Samuel promises that one day David's kingdom will rule the whole world, and that future king will be king forever. And here, in this child that Mary's about to have, that promise is about to be fulfilled. And so in conclusion, I want you to realize that this scene is actually not about Mary. This is all about Jesus, because Advent always points to Jesus. And it's about Jesus who, in the power of the Spirit, will rule the world forever, bringing about a kingdom of peace and justice. It is in and through him that our dark world with its corruption and evil will come to an end, and a new world will be born. And if you want to participate in that, get to know Jesus. Have a great Christmas, everyone.